There's a reason people still talk about Rust Cohle. Something about him stays with you. But why? If you look closely enough, you can see that there's a pattern underneath Rust's journey. A familiar, almost mythic story that resonates on a profound and intrinsic level. A man who descends into darkness and confronts it head-on, bears its weight, and somehow still rises and finds the light. Across cultures and eras, this narrative keeps resurfacing in different forms. And when you follow that pattern back to its origin, you eventually arrive at the story from which this pattern emerged. The story of Christ. I believe that what makes Rust Cohle's transformation so compelling, and why it still endures more than a decade later, is because of that very parallel between Rust and perhaps the most foundational and human story that exists. When you see Rust through these patterns, you start to understand him, his journey, and why it's so captivating in a much more profound way. Rust is not pursuing the passive worship of Christ, but rather the embodiment of Christ in his own context, whether consciously or not. To look at Rust through the specific parallel of Christ is to fully explore and understand the depths of meaning in his journey and how he redeems light from darkness. By the end of the show, much like Christ, it's Rust's intimate experience with the darkness, pain, and suffering in the world that lends credibility to his final proclamation that after coming face to face with the depths of that darkness, he believes that it's the light that seems to be with him. The parallel between Rust and Christ is seen most clearly in three areas: hollow religion, encountering metaphysical evil, and the way of the cross. The obvious question here is, how could Rust be anything like Christ if he so openly opposed Christianity?
What's it say about life? You gotta get together. Tell yourself stories that violate every law of the universe just to get through the goddamn day. What's that say about your reality, Marty?
Well, because Rust's issue isn't with Christ or Christianity itself. It's with the shallow, commercialized version he sees around him. What he mocks is performative faith, loud in public but empty in practice. His anger is aimed at the plastic version of religion that fills so much of Louisiana, but not at Christ. And ironically, that brings him closer to Christ than he realizes. In the Gospels, Jesus' harsh criticism targets the Pharisees, leaders who perform holiness but lack substance. Clearing the temple is his assault on that same hollowness. Religion twisted into profit, spectacle, and power. Rust's disgust echoes this. He's drawn to the idea of Christ, but alienated from an institution that speaks in his name while betraying his core.
Ask you something. You're Christian, yeah?
No.
What do you got the cross for in your apartment?
It's a form of meditation.
How's that?
I contemplate the moment in the garden, the idea of allowing your own crucifixion.
Rust's life doesn't just bring him into contact with metaphysical evil. It conditions him to recognize and sense it. Losing his daughter destroys any remaining trust in the world's order. Years undercover force him to live inside violence until he understands how its systems work. And homicide in Louisiana places him at the doorway of the Dora Lang case, the axis of everything to come. Rust isn't a detective in the usual empirical sense.
This place is like somebody's memory of a town, and the memory's fading. It's like there was never anything here but jungle.
He's not chasing puzzles or deduction for their own sake. He's looking for the power behind the crimes, the system, the worldview, the force that animates them. He wants to find the deeper power shaping human behavior. In Christ's context, the obvious enemy was Rome. But Christ doesn't begin by confronting Rome. His mission starts with exorcisms, healings, and encounters with unseen forces. In the Gospels, the true enemy isn't the empire, but the metaphysical evil empowering it. Break that, and the rest collapses. Rust mirrors this structure. On the surface, he's hunting ritual killers, but beneath that, he's confronting the metaphysical evil animating them. Carcosa. Carcosa isn't just a location, it's a force. A spiritual ecosystem expressed through symbols, rituals, murders, decaying schools, and a landscape swallowed by wilderness.
Got a bad taste in my mouth out here. Aluminum. Ash.
The spirals, stick figures, and network of crimes are markers of an unseen evil woven into Louisiana's memory. The cult is a visible layer. Carcosa is the force beneath it.
I saw you in my dream. You're in Carcosa now. With me. He sees you.
Rust is one of the few who can feel that weight. He senses the metaphysical force behind the crimes, and that is the evil he ultimately has to face. His descent begins the moment he commits to the case. Each interview, each cover-up, Lido, the Tuttles, and the institutional rot pull him deeper into the world that produced the violence. The investigation becomes a pilgrimage toward the cause behind the crimes. This descent culminates in the cave under Childress's house, the physical center of the system. Rust has been tracing the heart of the metaphysical evil he has sensed for years. There, the visible and the invisible layers finally meet. Confronting evil requires the giving of his own body. When Childress stabs him and lifts him off the ground, Rust is suspended between life and death. It's not symbolic, it's a literal self-giving. He offers his body in the fight against the darkness that has consumed generations. This is the clearest Christ parallel. According to the Apostles' Creed and early Christian tradition, after his crucifixion, Christ descends into hell, not as a victim, but as a warrior. He enters Hades to break its power from the inside. Rust mirrors this pattern, not in divinity, but in structure. He descends into the underworld, confronts evil at its root, gives his body, and through that sacrifice, the power behind the murders finally breaks. When we see Rust in the hospital, it's clear that something has shifted. His grief remains. The darkness hasn't vanished, but his worldview no longer feels absolute. And this is where it seems he has lived out the Christ narrative to completion. And that's when we see the most overt visual parallel. What dies isn't Rust's body. It's his grip on the belief that life is only darkness and repetition. The nihilism he preached, the meaninglessness he once clung to, no longer holds. In its place rises something quieter, the sense that through all the darkness, light is what emerges. Rust doesn't believe this because someone told him to. He believes it because he confronted the abyss himself and experienced something beyond it. And as Rust shifts, the world shifts around him. Carcosa's fall isn't just the end of a killer, it's the collapse of a spiritual stronghold. corruption that sat over Louisiana for generations is exposed. Resurrection appears in small ways: justice for victims, a community breathing again, and even Marty's family slowly finding its way back to grace. Rust emerges not as a preacher, but someone whose life has traced the shape of the gospel. He descended, he suffered, he confronted evil, and he rose again to something new. The truth that his story suggests is that the highest homage to Christ isn't merely outward confession, it's living the shape of his life. It's embodying Christ in the world around you.